I'm working on a new animation project about a queer group of vampires, suckers. They fight against conservative old farts for their very right to exist, and they do so with the power of their erased histories. Because our resistance squad comes from all possible eras and shows, we have always existed.
And because this time we are taking you with us every step of the way, this is the part where we answer your questions, yay!
Hey, this will be fun! Here, Jet asks on Kickstarter, how are you?
I don't know, it depends on how things go from here.
Okay, what are your inspirations for suckers?
Well then, let's hear it.
Anyone who's been following me for a while knows that my videos have taken me from personal struggle stories, like my sexual friendship with my straight BFF or my first time in a gay club, to bigger issues in our society. Shifted perception of representation or the erasure of queerness in pop culture and what that does to our society. Suckers is like the logical continuation of my content, a story that criticizes but also gives hope, in which we look back at our history, but also look ahead.
Man, don't talk like that. Jet probably only wanted like 3 titles or so.
Oh, well then Buffy, of course, Digimon 2, and then some classic teen horror movies.
I am confused, but move on.
Did you take the vampire types from Dracula, or did you add your own characteristics? Okay, I only enjoy writing a story if I'm allowed to do 2 things. First is laugh at cliches. And damn, there are plenty of vampire cliches to laugh at. Theatrical counts, slimy pointy-eared bald guys, hissing garlic haters, or glittery vampires. Suckers has them all.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Other thing I love? Giving things my own twist. So there will definitely be unique characteristics and special features in vampire lore.
Which will of course make everything gayer, right?
Yup. Definitive.
Tyler from Kickstarter then asks, will there be other monsters too?
Even though I'm convinced that other monsters exist in the Suckers world, in Suckers we focus on vampires, as a metaphor for gay people and their history.
But werewolves would also be a really cool metaphor for trans people or gender fluidity, right?
Sure.
And the demand is there.
Are there also other stories having trans or non-binary characters? Okay, let me break this down very briefly. But based on a completely different question, namely this one. How much has Suckers developed from the initial idea? At first, the basic premise was a group of gay vampires from across all eras.
Blah, blah, blah.
But when we started pre-production with tons of specialist literature, it quickly became clear the label gay itself is a fairly new invention. Transgender, non-binary, poly, aro ace, or even newer. This means that in order to understand our history, we first have to understand many of these labels and identities as such. Modern pigeonholes into which the past didn't really have room for. There were warriors in the military who slept with younger men, but still married women. There were women who lived as men in order to be allowed to work who also married women. And men who performed as women at parties, which would be considered gay or bi from today's perspective. What was identity, drag, or camouflage? How they would have labeled themselves. None of this can be clearly stated today in the context of time. But what sums it all up in one term is queer.
And so, to come back to the original question?
The group of gay vampires evolved into a group of queer vampires. And the complexity of sexuality and gender is definitely included in that. Will you mainly focus on Victor's story, or will you give each character their own arc? Well, I hate boring 2D characters. So even though Suckers is Victor's story, there will be a big focus on the entire main cast. Because let's be honest, Victor is a little sad boy who still has a lot to learn.
What? I'm a perfect boy.
And without his friends and the impact Victor has on their lives, he would constantly question his own values.
Why isn't the Greek warrior one of the old suckers?
The old suckers are old, conservative vampires and antagonists. They are in charge and have decided that no more humans can be turned into vampires. They alone decide who belongs and who doesn't. They've made sure of it. And that's why Victor's transformation alone is a mystery and challenges their power.
Yeah, but why isn't the sexy Greek guy one?
Oh, well, with the old suckers, it's not necessarily about age in years, but age in values. About power and interpretive authority. They set the tone and are the heirs and repository of toxic thought patterns, and it's always been this way, it stays that way principles. That's where the gay Greek falls right off the grid.
Gay? I thought those labels didn't exist back then.
Oh, come on, you know what I'm saying.
Okay, and how gay is Suckers?
Well,
it's over 9,000!
And that's a lot because our antique understanding of numbers doesn't go beyond 10,000. Who has the worst backstory in terms of trauma and such? Even though Victor lost his almost boyfriend in an accident or whatever, I would have to go with the Torch Boy. Huh? Or the boy actor. OMG, their stories are fucked up times 10.
And now this one is more appropriate. What is the age rating for Suckers and how explicit will it be?
Since the story is meant to encourage queer kids and teens, it wouldn't make sense to make the story too unnecessarily explicit. But still, you know my YouTube videos. I think animation gives us so many tools to suggest things in such an abstract way that we can clearly represent what we find relevant to the story. Take it as you will. Well, we're aiming for a PG-13 rating, but who knows? Maybe it will slip up to R rating. It's hard to say as we're still in pre-production.
And so, would you say yes to this question?
Yep, perfectly put.
Okay, so we know the what. And how about the how, where, and when?
Okay, let's go.
How? What type of animation are you gonna use for Suckers?
As you know from all my projects, it will be a mix of rig animation and frame-by-frame for wild action moves, similar to Rick and Morty, Agretsuko, or the Rapunzel series.
How? No, I'm not done with how yet. How many episodes and seasons can we expect?
Suckers will be a film released in 8 drops, each lasting about 10 to 15 minutes. They all together make a movie. If it's a hit, there'll be more.
Where will we be able to watch Suckers?
That all depends on where Suckers goes from here. Drop 1 was financed via Kickstarter, so all supporters will get the uncompressed episode to download, and it ends up on YouTube. Whether big players jump on board after that, or we continue to produce independently, will determine where the rest of the drops will end up.
When? When will Suckers be released?
We're confident that Drop 1 will be released in April of 2026. And each subsequent drop will take 3, maybe 4 months. Of course, that's just a question of resources. With more dough, we can hire more people and work faster. But that's not really in our hands. It's up to our crowdfunding, which of course you can still support.
What?
Yeah, because even though we have reached our funding goal for pre-production, our next goal is to implement the entirety of Drop 1 independently. How? With our support shop. There you can get the coolest Suckers goodies and everything goes directly into production. I mean, look at this stuff. Isn't it neat?
And if we surpass even that?
We'll continue right away with Drop 2. This thing is gonna be epic. So if you've only really just gotten into Suckers, head over to suck.me and check out all of our different goodies.
Isn't that way too complicated with those thousands of options you get to choose from?
Nope, because there aren't any bundles anymore, which means you can just put together whatever you want, like Victor's Secret Boyfriend pack with messages for you, or the Papercraft Bridge and dolls, or the Suckers art book.
Hey, one more thing. Are there already voice actors for Suckers?
Nope, but there will be an open casting call. To make sure you don't miss that either, you should follow on suck.me.
Oh, awesome! I want to voice Sam! Hello, I'm Sammy. I don't dare to bite people because I'm just a little baby.
I think others can be better at that.
Huh? I don't know.
That's it for now. See you later and chew.
Not yet. Here's another question.
Huh?
Hang on.
Oh, chew.
Hey, are the gay vampires gonna sing or not?